do the final postseason predictions. I sent you guys kind of a message on how we did. I'll obviously share it with our people, but preseason wise and how many correct playoff teams we picked of the 14 playoff teams. Isaiah and RJ got 9 out of 14 correct. Ben got 8, and I also got 8 after I realized that I picked the 49ers to make the playoffs. So mid-season predictions, we obviously your chances are a little bit higher to get more right. Ben got 11 of 14 correct. Isaiah 11 of 14. I got 10 of 14. The only real major disappointing part in there is we all picked the Ravens to win the AFC North, and they finished dead stinging last in the AFC North.
I mean, they were rolling. That was a good division, though.
Yeah, it was one of the strongest, and it was weird kind of how stacked all these divisions really were. I mean, even the Seahawks got it together at the end of the year, and I think if they didn't have Russell Wilson missing for 6 games, that might have shaped out a little bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah, the NFC West, the AFC West, and then the AFC North, just all divisions that really put a great foot forward. But yeah, injuries and COVID kind of ruined the Ravens, like you said, and going for 2 on 2 games, like 2 games that killed them. So it could have been a different dynamic, but the AFC was pretty much mushed up against each other all year long, since especially the last half of the season. So for the division losers in our predictions from the preseason, from the 8 divisions, Ben and Isaiah got 5 out of 8 correct for the division losers. RJ got 3, and I only got 2 out of 8 correct, which is surprisingly embarrassing. And really, it was kind of like the 2 obvious ones that I got, and it was like the Jets and the Lions. Pretty much everyone else I got wrong, and it's crazy, but it's just, I guess it's the way it is sometimes. But let's start looking at the AFC Championship game. Ben, what are you picking for the AFC Championship game?
The AFC?
Yeah.
Let's see. This is tough. The AFC is actually tougher for me. I think the NFC is a better, better chance. In my opinion, the better conference this year. But I will go. I'm gonna go with Titans. I'll go Titans and Chiefs. I'll just go chalk.
All right, you did.
I mean, I already knocked out the 3 seed with my pick. No, I didn't. But I'm not confident in that pick. And yeah, I'm gonna go Titans Chiefs.
I had Titans and Chiefs as well. I just don't see another team that's gonna be consistent. I think with the Titans, it's like, who wants to tackle Derrick Henry coming back rested
and healthy, like
rested, healthy and rested, like this?
Yeah, good luck with that.
And somehow, Deontay Foreman, Jeremy McNichols, Dontrell Hilliard, they all get a lot of credit and just still maintaining that run game in his absence. But man, Derrick Henry with a full-blown head of steam and it being the dead of winter, I just don't see any team that wants to tackle Derrick Henry. I think there's going to be some 200-yard games. So that's kind of where I'm sitting on that. Isaiah is picking the Chiefs versus Patriots.
Oh, okay then.
So I guess you trust Mac Daddy to get him all the way there. NFC Championship game, I picked the Rams versus the Bucks. And it's actually the same pick that Isaiah has as well. Like I said, this is a real opportunity for Matthew Stafford to, take that step towards being a Hall of Fame quarterback, because he's going to have the numbers. He's always kind of had the stats to go along with it, just never the wins. And if people really believe QB wins and playoff wins are a major contributing stat, this is an opportunity. And this is actually a year where you can maybe really actually peg Matthew Stafford, other than his obvious injuries he's kind of suffering with. But he's got a talented team around him. He's got a defense for once. He's got a run game. Cam Akers is back. Cam Akers kind of sucked in the last game. But, they've still got Sony Michel, who's ran really well. Darrell Henderson should be back. So it's like, I don't know what to expect, but I think that the Rams they can build some mojo, especially after getting Stafford's monkey off his back with his first playoff win?
I think he's too injured, and they are a flawed team. So I'm going to go with Bucks and Packers. That'll be fun again. Rodgers, Brady again. That'll be fun.
And Rodgers ain't getting past the game. That's pretty much set in stone. That means.
Yeah.
He doesn't get out of the AFC Championship.
No.
Not alive, at least. So, for the Super Bowl score, I'm picking the Titans to beat the Rams 27-17. And Isaiah's picking the Rams to beat the Chiefs 38-34. And Stafford gets his ring. So, we both have the Rams in there, obviously, but you are picking the Bucks Titans, it looks like.
Bucks Chiefs.
Bucks Chiefs. Okay. And who do you think takes that dub?
Bucks win. Okay. 27-21.
All right. I can dig it. All right. I mean, like you proved it last year, you are pretty much Sportstradamus. So
We'll see.
Yeah,
I'm less confident this
pull
year.
this off again, man.
Last year I was extremely confident in the pick. This year I'm much less. Mostly because the Chiefs are
back again.
Chiefs are more flawed. Bucks are definitely more flawed.
Yeah,
Still think they're the two best teams.
Yeah, I think they are, and I think that's the only hard thing to pick against is the consistency of these teams, and obviously the flaws that they've obviously demonstrated this year. That could be interesting. For the Super Bowl MVP, who are you taking for the Bucks? I think Tom Brady gets the other one.
I would say Brady, but I'm actually going to go a different direction.
Antonio Brown comes back.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
If you pick that,
I will actually pick. I'm going to pick Mike Evans.
Mike Evans. He's got to be the guy now for sure.
Yeah. I thought about picking Gronk because that would be fun, but.
Isaiah's picking Matthew Stafford, and I am picking Derrick Henry.
All right.
Like I said, I just think Derrick Henry.
I wouldn't want to tackle that guy.
I think he's got 3 games in him where he could just bull people, and I think all 3 of those games could be dominant. So I think that's it's weird to have Tannehill as a Super Bowl winning quarterback, especially because this is one of his worst years of his career. But here we go. So be it. For MVP, who are you taking on this one?
Rodgers.
Yep, we are all 3 taking Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. I mean, it'd be nice to not, but because I don't like him. I like some of what he is, but I don't like him that much. But I mean, I think it's between him and Brady. I think it's between him and Brady, and I don't think that's really an argument. Rodgers has just limited the interceptions where Brady hasn't as much. Not that Brady's thrown a ton, but
I mean, you're not wrong, and I think offensive player of the year is where some of these other position players could put it up, but I think really it's got to be between Rodgers and Brady. I think Josh Allen and Mahomes and Stafford are.
I think the betting favorite is Rodgers, and then it's Brady, and then it's Joe Burrow after that.
And some people have Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor in that group.
They're options. Yep, they're right there. Which those two, I think, when we get to offensive player of the year, I think they're.
Well, let's get to the offensive player of the year. I actually am taking Jonathan Taylor. I just think he's meant more to the Colts. Obviously, the Colts just came up short by choking to the Jaguars, which is just insane. But almost every game he was 90 yards or more rushing, and I felt like he's been a huge difference maker. I feel like he's allowed Carson Wentz to not suck as much as Carson Wentz can suck because he has the strength of a running back this year.
Sure. I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp here. I mean, been one of the best receiver seasons we've seen. I know he's got the extra game and all that, but, arguably best season we've seen since Calvin. So, go about it a little bit different ways, but Kupp is crazy. I mean, he's been crazy. Obviously, he's benefited from having better quarterback play this year, certainly. But like, I think that tells you how good he is. If he has better quarterback play, what kind of numbers he can put up. So I'll go with Cooper Kupp here.
I would not be surprised if they do Tom Brady for this one either.
I would not either. If he doesn't win MVP, I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't know. Oh, yeah, it just kind of depends on what direction they're thinking, what their thought process is.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just feel like
if they go quarterback, if they're not saying, hey, we're not going to pick a quarterback, the quarterback's an MVP's a quarterback award, then.
So my thought on this is, and they have done another quarterback for offensive player of the year before, but to me, Cooper Kupp has had an unreal season. Jonathan Taylor's had a really great season, and so I think for those, if you had your position players. Your skill position players had a more of a down year. I think
then maybe you go with the second best QB. Yeah. But
I think this year there's two players that definitely could be deserving of that offensive player of the year. So I would say you stick with the MVP as a quarterback award. Isaiah's also taking Cooper Kupp as well. Defensive player of the year, I am taking TJ Watt. Tying Michael Strahan's record, I think, is kind of a big deal. Obviously, he got it again on the extra game. But TJ Watt.
But he also missed like two
or three games. So
no argument there.
Yeah. So are you taking TJ Watt as well?
Yeah, TJ Watt I think is the odds-on favorite. I think it's not. I don't think it's close. The only other options. I mean, Aaron Donald's always in there. Micah Parsons is probably an argument. Just because he's had such a good year. I mean, Trayvon Diggs. I don't think he's that good of a corner. He's got the stats. I mean, he's got double-digit interceptions.
Yeah, the stats of yards allowed are awful too.
Here's the problem. I think he's a good corner. There's no doubt about it. He's a good corner, but he gets praised for he takes a lot of chances, and that gets him a lot of interceptions. But he also gives up a lot of big plays. So he's up there. Maybe Myles Garrett. He's been a freak this year, as usual. Other than that, I mean, I've seen Robert Quinn on there too.
Yeah, Robert Quinn, especially in his age, what he's done opposite. Like, I mean, Khalil Mack has been absent for the most part for the Bears this year, and so it's been Robert Quinn's put on a show, and he's like 34, so you kind of just expect his career kind of looked like it was starting to slow down. So it was definitely a surprise year for him. I think he could be a potential comeback player of the year. For offensive rookie of the year, I took Mac Jones still, but I think, Jamar Chase has made a run for that award as well. What do you think?
I'm going to go with Jamar Chase, actually. Before you talked to me about it 4 weeks ago, I would have said Mac Jones. But he has played less well. I mean, he hasn't played quite as good. Hasn't all been on him, but then Jamar Chase has taken off. And he's going to be top 5, maybe top 3 receiver in the league before we know it. So I think he deserves it this year.
Hard to be mad still. I mean, obviously, they picked Jamar Chase, but if the Bengals would have taken Penei Sewell and we get Jamar Chase, I don't think I would have been mad either way. Sewell's been great as well. So
yeah. I mean, I think that's a through the Lions, I mean, you're not unhappy about it, and that's what they needed at the time. So it is what it is. I mean, I wouldn't have been if they took Jamar Chase, I wouldn't be up in arms. But you know what, Amon-Ra St. Brown has come along like crazy this year, so I think the Lions should be happy about it.
Yeah, and really a lot of the top 10 talent this year has been
great, quite
good. Probably the best top 10 talent I've seen in a while.
Yep. Everybody's panned out for the most part.
Yep.
Even the guys who even Trevor Lawrence, right? Or even Zach Wilson. I know that doesn't make sense. You're sitting there, they both sucked in all actuality, but they got
horrible
better.
situations.
Terrible situation. They got better too. Zach Wilson certainly got better.
And Trevor Lawrence made one of the best plays of the year in this past week to Marvin Jones Jr. So
and Trevor Lawrence had a coach that didn't even want to coach him. He just wants to hang out in bars.
Yeah, I mean that's not fair.
Yeah, come on. I mean, he's just behind the 8 ball already.
Setting him up for failure for sure. For defensive rookie of the year,
I think there's one option.
I think there's one option. The only other person you might be, who else can I take?
Patrick Surtain, maybe.
Yeah, I think Surtain's probably the only other odds number on. Yeah, he's plus 900 odds, and Micah Parsons is minus 10,000.
Yeah, Micah Parsons is going to win the award.
Yes, that's what we've all got as well. Kind of changes up here a little bit at Coach of the Year. There are several options for Coach of the Year. Who do you like there?
I'm actually gonna go with Zach Taylor here. I think the job he's done has been remarkable. I didn't actually, really like him when they hired him. I'm like, all right, come on. Like this is who's going to rebuild it, but they gave him time and, they drafted really well lately. They've kind of built this back to a point, especially after last year, it kind of sucked because it's like, man, like they got their quarterback killed. Like, what are we going to do here? But I'm going to go with Zach Taylor here. I just think he's done a great job. Just a great job getting them to the playoffs. And they've gotten better. The defense has gotten a lot better because they're still a problem, but they're at least hanging in there against some of these teams, and that offense is explosive. So, I think Zach Taylor deserves it this year. And it's a different name than you see sometimes. You're always going to get the Belichicks, Bruce Arians, Vrabel, those type of guys right now. Just because those teams are the best teams in the league. But I think getting a different guy in there like Zach Taylor is cool. So
Arians is like a plus 10,000 odds, which is surprising that it's like 14th in odds right now.
Well, I think the only way for him because he won it last year, I'm pretty sure, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did.
The only way for him to have won it was if they had gone like undefeated or something crazy, in my opinion.
Well, it's the same with Sean McDermott. He's won it recently too, and McDermott's a plus 5,000 odds. But yeah, there's about 6 guys on this list that have pretty reasonable odds to win this award. LaFleur's in there, Vrabel, Belichick, even Sirianni and McVay have pretty decent odds to win this award. And like we talked about Sirianni, obviously he's like a weirdo, but
king of the press conference.
Yes, king of the press conference. But like what he's done with what looks like a pretty bad team on paper for the most part, and squeeze them into the playoffs. It's tough. The NFC East isn't probably the hardest division to scratch your way through. But
what are Urban Meyer's odds?
Urban Meyer. I don't even see him on this list.
I don't think if you're fired mid-season, I'm not sure they let you.
Yeah, they gave a list of 16 coaches, and he's not in that one. So,
that's too bad.
Right. But they're probably plus 100,000.
Yeah, that's too bad. Someone threw money on him at the beginning of the year, and they're like, really?
Shoot. The mere fact that Andy Reid and Staley and Bisaccia are at towards the bottom of this list at 10, 11, and 12 says a lot about
Bisaccia. I think should be considered. I know that it's hard to consider him because he wasn't the head coach for a good chunk of the year, but like what he's been able to do since all that crap happened, I think he should be considered.
That's why I'm like we talked about talking about coaches that are potentially going to take over jobs that could be available. The Raiders are like half considered available. A lot of people don't think Bisaccia is the coach next year, but it's like, why not?
Right.
What he's done with this team, rallying together.
To this point, I feel like they're probably. I'm sure the players like him. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they don't, but
that's tough. For comeback player of the year, who are you thinking? I think it's between kind of like 2 or 3 guys here.
I am gonna go with Dak. Okay. I just, you never knew what it was going to really come back like. It was a pretty bad injury. I think Joe Burrow's an option here.
Yep, Joe Burrow's
his injury was pretty bad. Nick Bosa is also an option.
Yep.
Wentz, I guess.
Robert Quinn's not.
Robert Quinn should be an option just because, but I just don't think they're going to give that to a defensive lineman. I guess Wentz is probably on the list. But I don't think he has a chance for it. I wouldn't vote for him for anything after that last game.
He choked that off too.
So I think it's going to be Dak or Burrow, but probably Dak.
I'm taking Dak. Isaiah's taking Joe Burrow though. So there's some differences in here, but you know, overall, I think a lot of these players have kind of set a new precedent again. And
Yeah.
you know, Micah Parsons probably showing out as one of the best defensive rookies in the last several years, and we've seen the likes of Chase Young and Aaron Donald and Dominican Sue in the last decade. So it's kind of wild. Let's talk about some of the available coaching positions, and then top candidates that you would consider. You know, today, obviously, Joe Judge got fired after making it through Black Monday.
Yeah, it was like there was reports that like, yep, we're gonna keep him, and then they probably watched that 3rd and 9 quarterback sneak from like the 4-yard line a few more times. Like, yeah, maybe not.
I should think twice. But I mean, with Dave Gettleman retiring, I felt like it was a matter of time. That's kind of why when I saw Gettleman was leaving, I was like, why not Joe Judge too? Whoever becomes GM is going to want his own guy.
Yeah, he's not gonna keep Judge around. It's not like it'd be one thing if like Judge was, you know, these teams in the playoffs or something, and like, you know, and then Gettleman was like, hey, I'm done after this year. I think then you got to keep the coach, but like they're terrible. I mean, horrendous. So
the Jaguars obviously won with Urban Meyer and Darrell Bevel. They won't be there next year. Broncos were the first one to have fired because their Black Monday was Sunday since they played Saturday, and Vic Fangio was cut. Brian Flores is the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
You know, the reasoning behind that is, you know, no playoffs still. But like he finished the season 8-1.
Yeah, he finished the season 8-1, and they won 10 games last year, and they didn't make it. And so you're punishing him for being ahead of schedule, right? Because really, in all actuality, they were so far behind the 8 ball, and then they ended up winning 10 games last year out of nowhere. And now it's like, look, you can't expect him to repeat it. And then he struggled at the beginning of the year, yes, certainly, but they went 8-1 down the stretch. You got to stick with him.
I felt like if you were going to fire him, you should have fired him week 8.
Right.
Like,
yeah, if you're that angry at the start, fire him then and just restart over then.
Yeah, when you have the previous season with 10 wins with a team that doesn't look good on paper, and once again,
they're not a good team.
Didn't look that good on paper. They're not super talented.
No.
And to finish the season, rally behind another 8-1 finish, I think he's going to get scooped somewhere for sure. I think he could actually be a head coach again next year for another team. So
I think he will be.
Vikings and Bears out of the NFC North. So now it's weird to think that Dan Campbell's the second longest tenured coach in the NFC North already. But yeah, Matt Nagy's gone for the Bears, along with Ryan Pace at GM, and then Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman for the Vikings are gone. And then, you know, you say that obviously the Giants now with Gettleman and Judge are gone, and then the Raiders are probably a maybe. But I could really see them kind of moving on unless they somehow would win. Like you make it to the AFC Championship even. I think that maybe Bisaccia gets a chance.
Yep.
So yeah, what kind of candidates are you looking at as top candidates to get a job? As of now, it's obviously very early, so it's not like we're sports.
Yeah, I think Flores has got to be the top candidate for a lot of these teams. Just because that was a surprise, and I think he is a talented head coach. You know, obviously he hasn't proven it with like crazy high, you know, win totals yet. But I mean, he had to take a bad team and turn them into a 10-win team in 2 seasons, and they were on the uptrend this year. So I think, you know, he's got to be considered for most of these jobs. You know, other than that, I mean, obviously the Lions are getting rid of Anthony Lynn is moving on. We've already announced that. So I think he's going to get some consideration some places. Maybe not as a head coach. But
even Aaron Glenn's actually getting –
Glenn is getting a lot of consideration, which I'm not surprised. That would suck.
Yeah, you want him at least 1 year so you can get that comp pick out of it.
Right. And then, you know, you're going to have the Eric Bieniemys. I think he's probably due.
Byron Leftwich.
Is probably due. Todd Bowles is probably another one. So
to come back, I mean, even I've seen Leslie Frazier's name float around.
Yeah, Leslie Frazier's a good head coach. I mean, I don't think that's something. You know, I think that's certainly an option.
Kellen Moore.
Yeah, I mean, he's young, but that's kind of a trend that a lot of teams are going now. I mean, you know, with the McVays.
I see Jared Miles' name come across.
Yep, I've seen that a couple times.
Dan Quinn coming back is another one. Nathaniel Hackett, Jonathan Gannon, Kevin O'Connell.
Yep. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh's name is going to get thrown around
Yeah,
with all these teams. We'll see. The Raiders and maybe the Bears would be the only two teams that I would really worry about just because of his prior relationship with both organizations.
We get to see a lot of Jim Harbaugh if he was Bears, so that's
Bears, yeah, yep, definitely.
But I also
I really don't think it's going to happen with him. I just don't. I think he's going to come back. That's just my feelings on it. The Raiders are the team I would worry about more probably, but I could be wrong. I mean, things can change quickly, so. But his name's going to always be thrown around when this stuff happens. But I think Flores should be the number one candidate for a lot of these teams.
I think Doug Peterson and Jim Caldwell are going to get some looks.
Definitely.
Do you have any chance?
Bill O'Brien is going to get some calls.
Yeah, I've seen Bill O'Brien's name as well. Do you think like any college head coach is going to get an opportunity?
I don't know if any of them are actually going to get hired, like a Matt Rule level. I think Lane Kiffin's probably going to get some calls. Jim Harbaugh is going to get some calls.
Matt Campbell probably.
Matt Campbell may get some calls. I saw another name earlier.
I keep seeing Kiffin's name pop around.
Yeah, I saw a couple other names.
Pat Fitzgerald. I've seen Pat Fitzgerald's.
Yeah, he's just. I don't think he's going anywhere. I mean, just because the Bears. That just because that job's open, I think they're gonna, throw his name out there, but I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't know. I could see it happening. Kirby Smart, I think they'll probably try. I'm sure that'll, they'll try for him. I think he's a college guy though. I don't think those guys are going anywhere. I could see it more being like some of those coordinators that came from the NFL, maybe going back up. Bill O'Brien. I know a lot of people in the NFL hate that guy, but he was a good head coach. He's a bad GM. Horrendous GM. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's probably some interest, but I don't really see a Cliff Kingsbury happening or a Matt Rule or something like that. At least not right now.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I did want to go over the final part of our pick six here.
Yeah.
To kind of finish this out. We got two NBA ones. Let me pull those up here. Warriors at Bulls on Thursday. Both teams obviously extremely talented this year. But yeah, I figured just being in Chicago, I'm like, I think it levels the playing field a little bit more in this game. So for this game, I'll pick this one first. I'm going to go with the Warriors.
I will also go with the Warriors. Klay Thompson is back.
He is back. I seen that. I synced it. Oh, man. Mavs at Grizzlies with Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
Grizzlies have a better record by about 5 or 6 games.
I'm actually going to pick the Mavs in this one.
Okay.
I like the Mavs. I like Luka.
Well, then I'll take the Grizzlies for some difference here. I was going to go with whatever opposite you were. I felt pretty decent about this game. So you ended up getting the last week's correct. So the Celtics and Knicks actually played twice last week. And I put in parentheses the Thursday game and not the Saturday game. So the Celtics won on Saturday, but the Knicks won on Thursday, and you picked the Knicks. So you get the dub at that one. It does change the pick six to you only being 3 behind now. You are 10-14, and I'm 13-11. So you're on the way back up after starting out 1-5.
Yeah.
So
not a good start.
So not a great start. It's kind of put you a little bit behind, but yeah, making a little bit of a run. We're pretty much even in picks since then. So yeah, look forward to seeing you guys next week with probably a pro playoff divisional preview as well. So
yeah, definitely. That's pretty much what we're gonna be able to talk about for a while. So maybe getting some mock drafts next week or something.
Yeah, well, we'll squeeze mock draft in next week. Yeah, good call.
Yeah,
all right, we'll see.